Hey guys, tonight we slip into a story carved out of mist stone and celestial mischief. You're not exactly born, you explode into existence, hurtling out of a mountain on a remote island somewhere off the coast of ancient China. There's no cradle, no soft lullaby, just wind, thunder, and one incredibly smug little monkey stretching in the sun. The air smells of rain-drenched moss and volcanic breath. You're small, but you're already a problem. You blink once, and the sky blinks back. Born from stone, warmed by heaven's fire and earth's breath, you're something new, a creature shaped by the cosmos, not by parents. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, let me know your location and local time in the comments. I'm always curious where you're tuning in from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You clamber down the cliffside and the monkeys follow. At first they laugh, then they cheer, because you can leap farther, run faster, and speak to the wind itself. In mere hours, you go from unknown rock child to leader of the mountain's wild-hearted monkeys. You name your new domain, the flower fruit mountain, lush, chaotic, overflowing with waterfalls and plum trees, and it becomes your throne. Your days blur into joy, swimming with crocodiles like they're rubber ducks, stealing melons, teaching tricks, plotting minor rebellion. And your nights, a cacophony of howling monkeys, bonfire shadows, and fruit juice toasts to your cleverness. But immortality nags at you. You can feel the pull of mortality like a splinter. So one day you slip away dressed in leaves and laughter to seek something bigger, something beyond death. You wander through human lands baffled by farming taxes and how fragile humans seem. You listen to the old monks under waterfalls. You learn to bow just enough to look respectful without meaning it. And eventually, you find a Taoist sage who's been alive since before some mountains even had names. You demand he teach you how to live forever. The sage laughs, then sighs, then reluctantly agrees because even he can see there's something different about you. For decades you train. You balance on bamboo shoots during lightning storms. You memorize sacred scrolls backward and upside down. You master transformation flight and the 72 earthly changes, the ability to become anything from a fly to a fireball. You perfect a cloud somersault that can cover 108,000 li in a single leap, which, by the way, is the ancient Chinese version of you're basically teleporting. And you name yourself Sun Wukong Monkey, awakened to emptiness. Humble, right? You think you're ready to go home, maybe show off a bit. But the heavens disagree. When a dragon king complains, you've stolen a magical staff from his underwater treasure vault, a staff you now use as a walking stick and occasional battering ram. The heavenly court decides you need supervision. They invite you to heaven. It sounds fancy, but it's a trap. You're made protector of the horses, which turns out to be a stable boy gig, not the majestic role it sounds like. You're not amused. You flip the stables upside down, free the celestial stallions, and crash a heavenly meeting in a fit of righteous monkey indignation. Heaven promotes you again, this time to great sage equal to heaven. An honorary title. A joke, really? But you take it seriously. You make banners. You hold parades. You build a palace in the clouds out of your own stubbornness. Historians still argue whether the great sage title was a satire from the heavenly bureaucracy or if it was an actual experiment in celestial diplomacy gone terribly wrong. Either way, you're now a real problem. Your mischief, already legendary, is just getting started. You haven't even tasted the peaches of immortality yet, or the elixir of life distilled by Laozi himself. But we'll get to that next. You leap back to your mountain triumphant, peach juice still glistening on your chin. Immortal check. Heavenly title, sort of. Your monkeys are thrilled you're not just a king now. You're a god who brings back stolen nectar and bedtime stories from heaven. The flower fruit mountain is in full festival mode. Silk banners flap from banyan trees. Drums thump with the rhythm of 100 mischievous paws. You strut through it all, waving that giant staff like a parade baton. It's called the Ruyat Jingle Bang, roughly the compliant golden-hooped rod. It can shrink to the size of a needle or grow tall enough to stir typhoons. You borrowed it from the Eastern Dragon King's armory, and let's just say he noticed. But what's a monkey god without a bit of flair? You build a golden palace atop the tallest peak. The throne is carved from jade, the guardrails made of phoenix feathers and dragon scales. You assign yourself royal titles, surround yourself with monkey ministers, and declare the first ever Simian Summit. There are snacks, there are speeches, there's karaoke. You are without question the most powerful monkey who has ever lived. And yet you're bored. So you start experimenting. Can you ride a cloud into deep space? Yes. Can you become a tree for a week just to spy on birds? Also, yes. Can you prank the gods with exploding peaches, animated statues, and dream-invading illusions? Absolutely. And you do. Eventually, heaven calls a meeting. Again. The Jade Emperor looks like he's aged 5 centuries overnight. He's got a migraine. His top generals have been turned into frogs. The Peach Banquet, an annual gathering for the most powerful immortals, has been desecrated. You weren't invited, of course, so you showed up invisible, gorged on sacred fruit, impersonated a heavenly maiden, and drank enough divine wine to drown a sea turtle. Then you knocked over a pillar and declared yourself supreme ruler of heaven. You really know how to make an entrance. That's when it all hits the fan. They send the heavenly army. Tens of thousands of armored celestial soldiers descend on your mountain. You smirk. You stretch. You summon your staff, now the size of a redwood tree, and swat the generals around like shuttlecocks. The monkeys cheer. You defeat the Thunder Marshal, the 4 heavenly kings, and even Nazia, the child warrior, with the flaming wheels. At one point, you tie up a storm dragon and use it as a scarf. The mountain shakes with every blow. The sky darkens not with rain, but with bureaucratic panic. But they have one last option, Erlang Shen. He's the nephew of the Jade Emperor, and he's got a third eye that can see through illusions. He's also annoyingly calm. You fight him across mountains, through waterfalls, and into dreams. You shapeshift into a housefly, a tiger, a fish, a building. He matches you, move for move. Eventually, he gets lucky. You're caught. Not by brute force, but because Laozi drops a magical snare made of golden chains and ancient sighs. You're hauled back to heaven, furious and flailing. They try to execute you with swords, with fire, even with lightning, but nothing works. Immortality is a tricky thing once you've eaten sacred peaches, drunk immortal wine, and bathed in starlight. So Laozi tries something else. He stuffs you into his alchemical furnace for 14 days. The hope is that you'll burn away like impurities in a metal crucible. But you survive. In fact, your eyes turn golden from the smoke. You emerge stronger, hotter, slightly more annoyed. You stomp out of the furnace like it was a sauna and announce that this has only made your fur shinier. Heaven has had it. They drop a mountain on you, not a metaphorical mountain, an actual one, made of the 5 elements: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. It pins you to the land like a paperweight on a very angry letter. Your staff is gone. Your crown is broken. Your laughter turns to silence. And there you lie for 500 years. But even then you don't sleep. Not really. You listen to the wind and the birds and the whispering of moss between the cracks. You think. You fume. You wait. Historians still argue whether this was a mythic metaphor for ego or just an epic celestial timeout for an immortal monkey who wouldn't behave. Either way, you've never been more alone. And somewhere deep under stone and silence, a part of you begins to shift. A soft bell rings one morning, faint, curious, like someone's knocked on the sky itself. You stir beneath the mountain eyelids twitching in the darkness. Something is different. A presence stands nearby. Not a god, not a soldier, a monk. He's small, fragile, smells like sandalwood and rice. His name is Tang San Sang, and he's not here to scold you or fight you. He's here because the Buddha told him he needed your help. Apparently, someone up there thinks this guy can walk all the way to India and retrieve sacred scriptures to enlighten the East. You laugh so hard, the mountain trembles. But the monk doesn't flinch. He bows. He explains that you'll be free, but only if you serve as his protector on the pilgrimage. There's a catch, of course. A golden headband, tight, elegant, cursed. With a single prayer, he can make it squeeze your skull like a vice. It's basically celestial dog training. You accept the deal. The moment you're freed, your legs tremble. Your fur's gone dull. Your pride's a little cracked. But your eyes, your golden smoke-burnished eyes, still burn with a fire the heavens couldn't put out. You pick up your staff from where it lies, buried in the moss. It hums as if it missed you, and just like that you're walking beside a monk who can't even swat a mosquito, tasked with defending him from the entire spiritual underworld. Within a day, you regret everything. Your first adversary is a bone-white demoness who disguises herself as a village girl, then a kind mother, then an old crone. You see through every trick. You vaporize her. Cleanly, no fuss. The monk is horrified. Violence is not the answer, he says, clutching his prayer beads. You still holding a severed illusion in one hand? Blink slowly. This becomes a pattern. Demons show up. They want to eat the monk's flesh, rumored to grant immortality. You fight. The monk scolds you. You grumble. He recites the incantation. The headband tightens. You wince. And so the journey begins. You meet allies along the way, though allies is generous. First comes Jubajé, the pig demon, with a rake for a weapon and the appetite of a spoiled noble. He flirts, eats lies, snores. Next is Sha Wujing, a former river ogre turned penitent bodyguard with a voice like a funeral bell. Together, you are the strangest band of pilgrims to ever walk the Silk Road. Through mountain passes and sandstorms, across haunted forests and collapsing bridges, you protect the monk again and again. Sometimes grudgingly, sometimes heroically, sometimes because you want the praise, sometimes just because you're the only one who seems to remember what you're doing. Still, despite all your strength, there are nights when you stare into the fire and wonder if this is really your fate bodyguard to a whimpering monk shackled by a gold band and your own past. And yet, something stirs. The monk's gentleness, infuriating as it is, begins to gnaw at you. Not like the mountain's weight, not like heaven's chains, but something quieter. He prays for the demons even after they try to eat him. He thanks you for saving him even when you complain. He never tries to be your equal, only your guide. One day you sit beneath a tree while the others sleep. The leaves rustle in a language you haven't heard since your days on the flower fruit mountain. You remember simpler days, howling monkeys, stolen mangoes, cloud-leaping races. And for the first time in a long while, you feel tired, not of fighting, but of being angry all the time. Historians still debate whether this pilgrimage was a literal trek or an allegory for spiritual discipline, especially considering the monsters tend to appear right when you need a personal breakthrough. But either way, it's working. You still flatten demons like dumplings. You still complain, but your rage softens. You laugh more. Not the manic sky-splitting laugh of the great sage, but something warmer, earthier. One night, after defeating a particularly ugly spider spirit, the monk doesn't scold you. He simply places a hand on your arm and says, "Thank you, Wukong," and you don't flinch. You bow your head slightly, And for the first time since bursting from that mountain stone, you don't feel the need to roar. You've come far, across deserts that hiss like coals under your feet, past temples overrun with vengeful ghosts, through valleys where sound itself gets swallowed. And still demons chase the monk like he's the main course in a cosmic buffet. Some are bold, others clever. One disguises herself as a troupe of traveling dancers. You're suspicious from the start. Her fan smells like sulfur, and her smile is too symmetrical. You wait until she offers the monk tea, then casually knock her halfway into next week. The monk sighs. Wukong. You roll your eyes. She had demon breath, but even you admit the enemies are getting smarter. A trio of river spirits tries to drown the group in a fake flood. A tiger-headed general offers the monk a golden chariot, and you almost let him until you notice the wheels are carved from human bone. The danger doesn't just come from without. Inside doubt grows. One day a demon shows up wearing your face. He mocks you, calls you heaven's pet, says you used to be a king. Now you fetch scrolls and endure lectures like a whipped dog. You don't speak. You don't even blink. You just summon your staff and with one graceful spin break the impostor into smoke and shame. Still the words echo. That night, you sit alone by the fire, your staff resting beside you. The stars feel further away than usual. You wonder if your stone-born strength was meant for more than escort duty, or if maybe, just maybe, this path is exactly what you need. But the gods, oh, they're watching. Bodhisattvas intervene now and then, sometimes to help, sometimes to test. One disguises herself as a widow, offering shelter in a town overrun by plague. Another poses as a blind beggar, asking for food the group barely has. The monk, of course, always gives. You grumble, you mock, but you follow his lead. Quietly, you start to notice things, like how Zhubajier, the lazy glutton, sometimes watches over the monk when no one else is looking, or how Sha Wu Jing sharpens your staff while you sleep, or how the monk, though terrified half the time, never asks anyone but you to lead them through the darkest forest. The bond grows. You even catch yourself telling jokes, real ones, not just insults wrapped in banana peels. The group laughs, not out of fear, but from warmth. But peace is fleeting. You arrive at a mountain cloaked in fog. Villages nearby whisper of a demon king who bathes in moonlight and commands armies of spirits. He's waiting for you, not to kill the monk, but to tempt you. He offers you the flower fruit mountain back, says he'll rebuild it, fill it with gold and monkeys and eternal laughter. He even conjures illusions of your old self, wild-eyed, defiant, unchained. You hesitate. It's beautiful, familiar, safe, but then you look back at the monk clutching his staff like a lifeline, eyes full of trust. You turn to the demon's side and smash the vision into dust. Heaven trembles a little when you do. Historians still argue Whether this trial marked your true transformation from trickster to sage, some say it was just another tale of temptation resisted. Others believe that was the moment your path truly became your own. You don't care. You just keep walking. The headband still tightens now and then, but less often. The monk prays softer. He no longer commands you. He asks, "You like that?" You're still the Monkey King, still wild at heart, but the wild has changed. It's not chaos anymore. It's a kind of freedom earned, not stolen. One afternoon, you find a grove filled with plum trees. The scent pulls something deep from memory. You laugh and leap into the branches, swinging like you did centuries ago. The others watch you stunned, just checking the fruit, you say, casually tossing a perfect plum at Jubajia's head. He misses the catch. You grin, land beside the monk, and for the first time in a long while, you don't feel like running from anything. Not heaven, not your past, not even yourself. The road turns cold. The mountains rise sharper now, cutting into the clouds like broken jade. You've passed through deserts, rivers, haunted groves, and still the journey stretches on. Sometimes you wonder if India even exists, or if this is just one long divine prank. But you keep walking. You notice the monk limping one morning, a blister hidden beneath his robes. He doesn't complain, just winces barely. You pause, crouch, and wordlessly offer to carry him. He hesitates, then nods. You hoist him onto your back like he weighs nothing at all. You don't even smirk. That surprises even you. Then comes the Lion Camel Ridge. It sounds charming. It is not. 3 powerful demons rule here, one red, one blue, one white. Brothers apparently, each with a talent for destruction and a taste for monk meat. They know you're coming. Set traps. Turn the local villagers against you with illusions. Even the trees seem hostile. At one point, the red demon tries to lure you into a duel by pretending to be the Buddha himself. It's not a good impression. You destroy him in under 3 moves. The blue brother lasts longer, disguises himself as a temple guardian, and nearly impales Sha Wu Jing. You catch the blade mid-air. The white one, though, he's tricky. He doesn't fight you. He kidnaps the monk and vanishes. You rage, you roar, you punch holes into the clouds. Then you stop. You breathe, and you pray. Not to heaven, not to Laozi, just inward. And then like mist peeling from a lake, you see the trail. You follow it. You battle the white demon alone in a cave filled with enchanted mirrors that reflect all your past selves. The mountain-born monkey, the great sage, the prisoner, the bodyguard. They all jeer at you. You break each reflection, slowly, gently, and when the final mirror shatters, you see yourself not as others, do not as a god or a joke, but simply as you are. You rescue the monk. No violence this time, just a trick of your own, a whispered spell, a decoy shadow, a cage undone. The monk hugs you, no words. You pat his back awkwardly, then clear your throat and loudly blame Bajie for not keeping a better lookout. Speaking of Bajie, he's changed too. The pig still eats too much, still naps when he shouldn't. But one day you catch him giving half his food to a starving child. He shrugs when you ask about it. Old habits, he says, but not all of them. Even Sha Wu Jing, once so silent, starts humming a lullaby from his former life, something about river reeds and lantern boats. You pretend not to listen, but later you hum it too. Historians still argue whether these stories were meant to teach Buddhist virtue or simply entertain. Some claim they're fables for obedience. Others see them as rebellious wisdom wrapped in monkey-shaped chaos. Either way, something is different now. The headband still tightens, but less often. The monk's prayers are fewer. You're not perfect, but you don't need to be. You're present, and presence is power. One night, you sit with the monk beneath a tree, blooming in white petals. He talks about the scriptures, how they might change the world, how every step you take brings hope to people who've never even heard your name. You nod thoughtful. Will they ever know what it cost, you ask? He smiles. Maybe not, but we will. You don't say anything, but inside you feel it, that slow golden warmth that no longer comes from stolen elixirs or sacred peaches, but from something deeper, something you earned. The wind stirs the blossoms. The stars blink lazily above. And for the first time since your stone birth, you feel still. You're close now. The earth feels different, lighter, like it knows you're near the end. Even the clouds drift slower, as if watching you pass. The monk walks with steady rhythm, his eyes fixed on some distant, invisible point. But the universe isn't done testing you. A kingdom blocks your path. The king is gone, devoured by a demon masquerading as his advisor. The queen is imprisoned. The people are starving, bowing to a monster who wears silk robes and feeds his enemies to flower petals that dissolve bone. The monk wants to help. Of course he does. So you disguise yourself as a wandering storyteller, spinning tales in the palace court. You charm the courtiers, lull the demon with flattery, all while your mind maps escape routes, weak spots, staff angles. When the moment comes, it's surgical. One swift blow to the throat, another to the illusions clouding the queen's cell. The monster disintegrates into petals. You spit one out in disgust. Too perfumed? The monk doesn't scold you this time. He bows to the queen and says, "Thank him, not me." She does. Tears in her eyes. You feel embarrassed. You kick a pebble, grumble about how the demon had it coming. That night, the queen offers a feast in your honor: fruit, rice cakes, plum wine. You sit with Zhu Bajie and Sha Wujing under lantern light. No monsters, no weapons drawn, just laughter. You almost believe it could last. But dawn brings the last true challenge, a storm, colossal, unnatural. The sky splits and spirals, winds scream like banshees. A shadow falls, massive, shifting, wrong. Not a demon, not a god, something older. You remember it from your birth. The wind that howled when you first opened your eyes. The thing that stirred when you stole from heaven. The consequence no one ever named. It calls itself the six-eared macaque. It looks like you, talks like you, fights like you, but without compassion, without restraint. It claims to be the real Sun Wukong. Says you're just the shadow, the joke, the lesson. You fight cloud to cloud temple, to mountain storm to storm. Your staff crashes into his. You trade forms, spells, memories. Each blow echoes across the sky. The monk watches unsure who is who, until you do something the other can't. You stop, you kneel, and you say his name. The real one, the hidden one, the one etched into your stone heart before speech. The demon flinches, confused. That moment is all you need. One last strike, and he dissolves into smoke and silence. Historians still argue whether the six-eared macaque was a symbol of ego or an ancient force that predated the gods. Some believe it was simply your own shadow made flesh by too much power and too little rest. Whatever it was, it's gone now, and you are whole. You kneel before the monk. He removes the golden headband. No words, just a nod. It vanishes like mist. For the first time in centuries, your brow is free. No pressure, no pain, just peace. The monk smiles. Let's go. You do, with no chains, no tricks, just choice. You walk the last mile like a king returning home. The wind parts, the clouds bow. Even your staff seems lighter, more a companion than a weapon. India rises ahead, golden spires, lotus ponds, air thick with prayer. You're not ready, but you're willing, and that's enough. The gates of Thunder Monastery rise before you, tall, silent, shimmering, like they've waited an eternity just for this moment. You pause beside the monk. He exhales, eyes shining his entire journey etched in the quiet folds of his face. You've crossed a continent, slain demons, battled yourself, and now you step forward not as a warrior or a sage or even a monkey, but as someone complete. The monks within bow low their robes like water on stone. Sacred scrolls are brought forth heavy with gold ink and ancient silence. Tang San Zang weeps. You don't, but you do smile just a little. It's not over, though. The return journey begins. You retrace the path mountains, now smaller rivers, calmer monsters, fewer. Not because the road has changed, but because you have. Along the way, people greet you with reverence. Children offer you peaches, not knowing the joke. Elders whisper your name like a prayer. You pass by the flower fruit mountain. You stop. You climb. The trees have grown wild. The waterfall still sings, but your old palace is overrun with vines. Your banners faded into wind. You kneel and touch the earth. It pulses beneath your fingers. You don't rebuild. You just sit for a while. Eventually the scrolls are delivered to the east. The monk completes his vow. The heavens celebrate. Rewards are given. Yours. Not gold. Not another title. Enlightenment. Actual glowing, soul-lifting, wheel of rebirth stopping enlightenment. The Buddha himself offers it palms. Open eyes kind. You kneel staff across your lap and accept, and just like that, everything changes. You're still you, but not. No longer bound by rage or rules or reckless hunger, just stillness. They call you victorious fighting Buddha now, but names don't matter anymore. You visit the monk sometimes, share tea, watch sunsets. You write poetry, badly. You still love mangoes. You still prank bhajie, but there's quiet in your heart. Historians still argue whether Sun Wukong was real or myth or both. Whether his tale was meant to teach discipline or mock divine authority, or simply remind us that even chaos can find peace. But in the hush of night, in the space between sleep and dream, sometimes, if you listen closely, you can almost hear the thump of his staff echoing softly across the clouds. And now the story settles, like petals falling into still water. You picture the Monkey King not in battle or triumph, but sitting beneath a plum tree head tilted to the breeze. No gold crown, no glowing eyes, just fur gently tousled by wind, a quiet smile on his face. His journey wasn't perfect. He failed, fought, fell, but he changed. He learned, and he chose peace. Let that image rest in your mind, the mischievous god turned gentle guardian. The monkey who once stole peaches from heaven, now watching over the world with patient eyes and a heart like polished stone. Take a breath, let it out slowly. Your own journey might feel long, messy, even impossible. But tonight, like Wukong under a starlit sky, you are exactly where you need to be. Safe, still, drifting, so sink deeper into the quiet now. Let your breath grow slower, your limbs heavier, and your thoughts softer, like clouds brushing against the edge of sleep. You are enough. You've done enough. And in this moment, nothing is chasing you, nothing is demanded of you. Only rest, only stillness, only dreams. Sleep well, traveler. You've earned it.